Perfect. Okay. Okay. Well, hello, Nati. How are you?
Good.
We're gonna start
Hi.
doing this, I guess, every week here in my office. We're gonna talk about many things all the things that are happening in Miami and all the things that we're doing. So today we're gonna start with a great friend of mine and lawyer, Mr. Leonardo Concepcion from Concepcion Law. He has been an amazing attorney for us and also for many of my friends. Today we're going to talk about everything that he has done with the law, as far as criminal law, also personal injury. But he's doing a lot of interesting things with E2s. He's representing a lot of his clients and potentially a lot of my clients that are gonna be calling him nonstop very soon whenever a specific country in Colombia goes south and goes all the way to the left. They're gonna be needing to come here. So Leo, how are you, man? How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So please tell the people, the viewers, what is that you do and who are you?
Sure. So, again, my name is Leonardo Concepcion. I'm an attorney here in Miami, Florida. The main areas of practice are personal injury. So we do car accidents, slip and falls, anything of that nature where someone's been injured. We also do a lot of criminal defense, specifically on the federal side. So we do a lot of international criminal cases, mostly from South America and Central America. And then most recently, we've had a lot of clients coming to us and asking for help with business or investment visas. And based on our experience and our existing clientele in South America and Central America, we've been helping a lot of clients do that.
Perfect. What have you seen now with everything that is happening in South America? Because, we spoke when we had lunch the other day about what's happening in South America with the changes of political parties. Most of the countries are going to the left, mainly Colombia. I'm Colombian myself, and I know you have a lot of Colombian clients. What's happening in South America is very worrisome for many people that have assets and they just see their fortunes going in decline. The only option for them is to come to the States and be able to invest money in a business here. So based on what's happening in South America, has your clients, the numbers of clients that have calling you, have that increased? Have you seen like an increase on the type of individuals that they want to come here?
Absolutely. So before the elections in Colombia, I had several clients that kind of wanted to get ahead of things in the chance that the election went in a way that they didn't want to see it go. And it's for the same exact reasons that you're talking about. Most clients that are reaching out to me are people that have, developed assets and have assets in Colombia. And they're worried that depending on how the government goes in the future, that those assets could be seized or significantly reduced in value. And they're trying to figure out, a lot of them is a plan B. What happens if things go bad there, like let's say Venezuela? I want to try to have a plan B in place. So luckily for a lot of these clients, what we've been talking about, and one of the options we've been presenting them, is an E2 investment visa in the United States.
Okay. How those E2 works? Tell me from scratch. How can someone, I know a lot about it, but I'm not the lawyer. So you are. I tell a lot of my clients and friends, listen, if you have today $200,000 to invest, you might be able to do so with E2, but then again, I'm not a lawyer. Speak to the attorney. I know that the startup is the initial investment is at least $200,000. Am I wrong about that?
Like mostly, like what's the package or the requirements that they need to gather?
Right. So let's talk about the E2 visa a little bit more in principle. What is the E2 visa? The E2 visa is an investment visa. Okay, so it's designed to give individuals who are investing in the United States and creating jobs a visa to come here, live here, and work here. Now, how does the E2 work if you get it? It gives you 5 years of legal immigration status in the United States for you and your family. What is your immediate family? Husband or wife, right? Your spouse, and any children under 21. okay, are all included in this visa package if you're granted an E2. So what do you need to do to qualify potentially for an E2? So an E2 is for someone who is either purchasing a business in the United States or creating one from scratch. Okay, you can go each way. You can buy one that's already in place, or you can start one from zero. But the business does have to be in operation. It can't be an idea. I want to start a business. No, you have to have started it. It has to have sales. It has to have, movement, and then you can apply for the E2 business visa based on the fact that you are telling the United States immigration that you have this investment, you have this business, and you need to be present to properly manage it and grow it. So going back to what we said, that you get the visa for 5 years. The good thing about the E2 is you can renew it every 5 years without limit for now. These things are always subject to change because they're based on agreements with certain countries, and particularly right now I'm just talking about Colombia. But that's for right now how the E2 works. In terms of investment, we recommend an investment from anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 in the business. And that can be the purchase price of the business, or it can just be your capital investment, materials, renting a space, developing products. All of that can be attributed to the $100,000 to $150,000 investment that you would want to be applied for the E2.
Okay, I have a very specific question. That is one of the cases that you might handle. This specific potential client, well, it's my client, but it's going to be your potential client, has a store in Colombia. We're trying to negotiate a store here in Miami, so they could have an office here for that specific business here. The business is gonna cost about $250,000 to buy. Then they do apparel. They're gonna start selling apparel. They're gonna start making apparel here. So will that qualify for an E2?
It does, right? So that could potentially qualify. We'd have to look at the details, but that would potentially qualify because it's a new business and it's requiring a capital investment of over $100,000, okay, right? So there is a potential there that person could qualify for an E2. Right. But you said something interesting, which leads us to a good kind of segue, which is they have an existing business in Colombia. Mm-hmm. There's actually another visa, which is called the L, right? Which is for people who have an existing business, okay, in another country that's been in existence over a year, and they want to open a U.S. presence of that business, okay? The L works a little different, but it has its benefits, and here's how it works. One, you don't really need a significant capital investment like you do on the E2s. You need an investment, but not as high, right? You just need to say, I have this company, we're trying to open a U.S.-based presence. And what you do is you apply on behalf of one of the executives of the company for permission to come to the U.S. and develop that U.S. presence. How the L works is initially they give you a 1-year visa, and it's renewable 2 times for 3 years. So a total of 7 years. But here's the thing that's really special about the L's that's a little bit different and for some people better than the E's. After those 7 years, it could potentially lead to a green card, which is a permanent immigration status for that person, right? The E's don't really provide that benefit to you. You can renew the E's without limit, but just the E's themselves will never lead to a permanent status.
Right.
Can we talk about like the type of investment? Like they need to hit some requirements in specific for them to be able to have those, either the E2 or the L's?
The principle, the most important part about the investment is that you can trace all the funds, okay? Because that's something immigration really looks at. You have to be able to do the tracking of all the funds all the way to the home country to the U.S. and show that it's all clean money,
legal,
right? Because that's one of the biggest worries for them, right? So that's really the most important part about the money. How you get the money would have to come from a personal account in Colombia, for example, and it can be then transferred to a business account of the business here in the U.S., which we obviously help clients establish. when they're creating companies or buying business.
Okay.
Okay, now let's talk about EB5s. With the EB5s, I have a little knowledge. I started LUZEPH Investments Group, helping foreign nationals with EB5s. We did almost 29 with a project called IGEA back in 2013. The project didn't go anywhere, but they had a total of 50 visas that they were able to give, and we were able to help 20 of our clients with that specific visa. Back then, it was only $500,000, and it was very easy. Today I know it's over $1 million. I don't, recommend it to anybody now, because whenever you see an E2 or an L, this is better. But have you been asked about EB5s?
That's
lately?
divided in two, right? It's $1 million, and then there's another one lower, right?
Right. So there's two things about the EB5s. It can be a little bit different. So to your point, EPHRAIM, it is a lot more expensive than the E's or the L's, right? So that's a big issue for a lot of people because it's cost prohibitive. A lot of people don't say I have $1 million. It's rare. Some do, obviously, but not. That's not for everybody. So how it works, the EB5s is one of two ways. You can, one, invest in a government-approved program, okay?
I see.
So the government-approved programs, right, already have the stamp of approval by the U.S., and that might have been kind of like the project you were talking about, which is you invest the money. They were just recently refiguring what the new amounts were going to be, but it was going to be close to about $1 million, maybe a little bit over, maybe a little bit under, right? But if you invest in one of these projects that's pre-approved, great, you put your money in. Obviously, the project will tell you what your expected return is and all that. But usually, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years for you to get the visa, and it gives you a green card. That is what it's enticing to a lot of people, that it gives them a permanent status. But the only problem is it's cost prohibitive.
And also, and I'm sorry for interrupting. Also, they're not giving it as easier as before. I remember that a lot of the regional centers took a hit because they were back in the day they were giving it to a lot of people. Now there's more regulations on the EB5s because of this amount is going to increase. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's exactly what was going on recently. Is that the government kind of was considering shutting down all the pre-approved programs and having them reapply. Obviously, the people that had already been approved were fighting that, saying, why would we have to reapply? Because there's a lot of fraud with some of these programs. So it's been a little bit shaky recently. So there hasn't been a lot of clarity with those EB5s. And the last point I'll say is the EB5 is you don't have to go through an approved program. You can do a substantial investment in your own business, right? Kind of like the E2s, but obviously it's now talking about close to $1 million, and apply for it that way. But with those EB5s, I always tell the clients, if you have that much money, you might as well just go with an approved program because that's a safer alternative.
Right.
Super.
As the most of the times they might deny it if they don't like the business or whatever. Okay,
Exactly.
I know this was a last minute, Leo, and I thank you for that. And not only you are one of my great attorneys, you are a friend, and I consider you as a friend. And thank you for doing this because I know it was last minute. Now I want you to tell me, because we also spoke about this on our lunch last time. Let's say that someone has an issue in Colombia and the person was deported and the person was a criminal and the person was had something to do with the law. It doesn't have to be Colombia, Guatemala, whatever. What happens to that person that wants to come back to the States? Because you're an expert on this, as a criminal lawyer that you also are, what benefit or what services can you offer that person that was deported from Colombia and is unable to come back to the States?
Yeah, you have to look at that on a case-by-case basis because it all depends on what the basis for the deportation was. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, if you've been deported, that kind of closes the door for you to be able to come back. But you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis because some of the offenses that were previously used for deportation are no longer approved for deportation. So you may have an argument that, hey, the basis that I was deported for no longer is a deportable offense. And then you can still potentially apply for an E2, an L, something of that nature. But that's a difficult question because it's very case by case.
Right, awesome. Okay, do you have any more questions for Leo, Natalia?
I would like to switch it to Spanish because ahorita en este momento tengo algunos clientes ya, ya metiéndose en el live y viéndonos en español. Entonces sí quisiera como de pronto hablar un poquito de lo que acabamos de decir muy rápido y como dejarles simplemente como la inquietud y que ya si tienen más preguntas pues nos contactan.
Claro, con gusto.
Empieza con el E2 y sigue con el L y con el EB5 y explica tú, Leo, en tus palabras cómo funciona. Bien rápido.
Ok. Bien, bueno, vamos a repasar las visas del E2. Para darle contexto a lo que estábamos hablando, muchos clientes actualmente y en el último año han estado preguntando por opciones de visas para inversionistas de Sudamérica, especialmente en Colombia. La más popular al momento es la que se llama la E2, ¿ok? ¿Cómo trabaja la visa E2? ¿Ok? Esto es una visa de inversión y es para personas que invierten en un monto de aunque sea 100 a 150 mil dólares en el país, ¿ok? En la creación de un negocio, porque a veces alguna gente me dice, bueno, ¿puedo comprar una propiedad? No, eso no es suficiente. Tienes que estar creando un negocio o comprando un negocio existente, ¿ok?
Como generando empleo, pocas palabras.
Exacto, esa es la parte más importante que el gobierno quiere ver. Que
¿Tiene límite de empleados?
Empleo.
¿Necesita algún límite de empleados? O sea, ¿tiene un requerimiento?
Yo te dijera que al inicio necesitas que sea uno, ¿verdad? Porque vas a tener que explicarle a inmigración cómo el negocio está trabajando sin ti, ¿verdad? Porque tú no puedes trabajar en el negocio en el proceso que estás haciendo la visa del E2. Y eso es lo más importante para ellos ver, ok, que estás generando empleo, obviamente que tienes un empleado, ¿verdad? Administrándote el negocio por ahora, pero que tú necesitas esta visa de E2 para estar presente en el negocio y crecerlo y dar más empleo.
Perfecto.
La mayoría de las personas en Colombia, después de que el nuevo presidente de Colombia, que es socialista, ya se volvió presidente, están muy nerviosas, Leo. Y digo Colombia porque, bueno, hoy por hoy es uno de los lugares donde nos están llamando y pues la mayoría de mis clientes son colombianos. ¿Qué esperanza tienen las personas que tienen una fortuna de un millón de dólares, 2 millones de dólares, que a los estándares de Miami no es mucho, ¿ok? Porque si tú compras un apartamento aquí en mi zip code te cuesta $1 millón y pues ya se te acabó la plata. Si la persona tiene de 1 a 2 millones de dólares, que esta E2 es conveniente para ellos, pueden invertir en un negocio que esté andando si tiene una conexión con el negocio de ellos en Colombia, por ejemplo, como te estaba diciendo en inglés, esos clientes míos que tienen una compañía de textiles en Colombia pequeña, pero lo quieren traer acá. Estamos negociando un negocio acá, un negocio que ya está activo de textiles y el negocio va a costar más de $200,000. Un negocio así, si ellos quieren tener presencia aquí en Miami, con la presencia que tienen en Colombia, les puede ayudar. Yo sé que este no es tu caso, y, pues, potencialmente puede ser tu caso, pero yo sé que no lo es, pero me gustaría que me dijeras si de pronto eso puede funcionar para ellos.
Sí, para una persona en esa situación tienen otra opción. Tienen la de la E2 que hablamos, que pueden crear un negocio nuevo, ¿verdad? Y hacerlo de esa forma, pero también si tienen un negocio que ya está en existencia en Colombia y tienen más que un año y quieren hacer un negocio de acá relacionado, no puede ser un negocio completamente diferente, pero si es relacionado, quieren una presencia de ese negocio en los Estados Unidos, tienen otra avenida que son las visas L. Las visas L normalmente son para compañías que quieren crear una presencia inicial en los Estados Unidos y están pidiendo permiso para un ejecutivo estar presente, ¿verdad? Y crear esa presencia en los Estados Unidos. El beneficio que te da la L sobre la E2 es que la L te da un año inicial de una visa. Entonces se puede renovar 2 veces por unos periodos de 3 años, así que un total de 7 años. pero después de esos 7 años, ese ejecutivo puede tratar de obtener una tarjeta verde, como decimos, ¿verdad? Que es una residencia permanente en los Estados Unidos. Comparada a la E2, que esa visa es por 5 años, no te da la opción de obtener un estatus permanente en los Estados Unidos, pero es renovable sin límite, ¿ok? Y las dos visas te dan la visa, obviamente, para la persona principal que está aplicando, el dueño del negocio, el ejecutivo, pero también te da para la esposa o esposo y cualquier niño menos que 21 años. Son incluidos en esas visas.
Otra cosa que me acabo de acordar, otra cosa que quiero que le comentes a la gente es en referencia al fraude. Por ejemplo, en los últimos 30 días me han mandado proyectos, clientes míos de Colombia. EPHRAIM, mira este proyecto, me están prometiendo una visa, me están prometiendo eso. Algo que yo aprendí en los 30 años que estoy en este país y en los 20 años que estoy en el negocio es que ningún abogado te puede garantizar que vas a obtener una visa o que va a haber una garantía en el servicio que ellos dan. Entonces me gustaría que hables y que seas una voz hoy por hoy de caution, de atención, ¿no? Para la gente que puede caer en fraude y en manos de personas inescrupulosas que los pueden engañar diciéndole que les pueden garantizar una visa con un proyecto, algo que un abogado como tú tiene que, número uno, investigar, número dos, con personas como yo también, ver si el negocio vale la pena y también investigarlo, hacerle un background check a todas las personas. Entonces quiero que hables en referencia a eso, en referencia del fraude que puede venir muy grande ahora con la gente que quiere desesperadamente venir a Miami o a los Estados Unidos.
Sí, no, 100%. Y eso es algo que yo le digo a los clientes muchas veces y a veces me dicen, bueno, pero no tienes confianza en el caso. Y les digo, no es eso, es que quiero que entiendas que yo no te lo puedo garantizar, ¿verdad? Yo lo que siempre le digo a los clientes, yo lo que puedo garantizar es mi trabajo, ¿verdad? En el sentido que voy a hacer el esfuerzo, voy a hacer lo que te prometo hacer, pero ya el resultado no te lo puedo garantizar porque eso no está en manos mías, eso está en las manos de un oficial de inmigración que ni conocemos. Okay, así que para cualquier persona que te dé una garantía, eso debe ser, ¿verdad?, ya algo que te da pausa, porque nadie que es un profesional de verdad, que tiene ética, te va a prometer algo así, porque no es verdad que te lo pueden garantizar. Y a tu punto, EPHRAIM, el fraude, especialmente en Miami, nosotros somos la ciudad más que más casos de fraude tienen los Estados Unidos entero, ¿ok? No te sé decir por qué, pero el fraude en Miami es más prevalente que en cualquier otra ciudad en los Estados Unidos. Y los casos de fraude que yo veo me dejan a veces frío en el nivel de trabajo que le ponen, ¿ok? Así que hay que tener mucho cuidado. La mejor cosa que puedes hacer para tratar de cuidarte a eso sí es trabajar con personas que ya tú sabes que son profesionales de verdad, que son licenciados, ¿verdad? A mí o cualquier abogado que de verdad es un abogado de la Florida, pueden buscar su perfil en la página del Florida Bar, que es la organización que nos da la licencia. Si una persona no está ahí, no está licenciado para trabajar en la Florida. Así que igual como tú, gente de real estate, licenciado en la Florida, y te pueden buscar.
Y no solamente eso, le pueden estar ahí. Y yo me he encontrado con muchos abogados, es precisamente uno en el cual me enfrenté, que el hombre puede estar en el Florida Bar, pero tiene como 10 casos en contra de él por cosas que no tenía que haber hecho, ¿no? Entonces también la gente se tiene que cuidar mucho a quién van a contratar como abogado. Mira, nosotros tenemos conocidos que han sido víctimas de personas que, número uno, eran abogados, pero que también estaban siendo investigados por el Florida Supreme Court, y les quitaron la licencia, ¿no? Así que eso también hay que verlo, a pesar de que puede estar en el Florida Bar, pero si tiene cualquier suspensión o algún caso en contra de ese abogado, no es bueno contratarlo.
No, claro, eso obviamente es algo preocupante si tienen algo así, porque ya están obviamente enseñando que su ética no es de un nivel alto.
Ajá, total.
Okay.
Bueno, y ya yo sé que tienes que recoger a los niños. Ya para terminar, quiero que me hables un poquito de lo que es el lado de tu law firm, que es personal injury también. Leonardo no solamente es un gran abogado criminalista, pero él también es uno de los mejores abogados de personal injury, de accidentes y eso. Así que cuéntale a las personas que nos están viendo ahora en referencia a tu law firm de lo que es personal injury, ¿no?
Sí, claro. Personal injury es lo que yo empecé haciendo como abogado hace ya casi 10 años, ¿verdad? Yo trabajaba en el lado de la defensa, así que trabajaba para las compañías de seguro. Así que obtuve mucha buena experiencia en ese lado. Lo que hacemos en esa parte en la firma es representar a clientes que han sido lesionados en cualquier tipo de accidente. En un accidente de automóvil, una caída o algún tipo de accidente en un negocio o en una propiedad. De cualquier tipo. Yo lo que siempre le digo a los clientes es, si han sido lesionados en alguna forma, llámenme. Yo no le cobro nada por una llamada. Yo con gusto hablo con ellos y les dejo saber si yo creo que tienen una opción o un reclame válido. Y obviamente si lo tienen, con gusto lo ayudo. Y lo muy importante de esa área de trabajo que muchos clientes no entienden es que no le tienen que pagar al abogado, ¿ok? Porque yo en esos casos nada más que cobro si les recupero algo al cliente. Así que algunas veces los clientes me dicen, no, es que yo no tengo dinero para un abogado. No importa. En esos casos de lesiones, nosotros representamos a los clientes, ¿verdad? Con la esperanza de recuperar de la persona que fue negligente. Y si no recuperamos nada, no nos pagan nada. Así que es un servicio que es totalmente sin riesgo al cliente.
Perfecto. Bueno, Leo, muchas gracias por este tiempo. Y bueno, Natalia, quiero que pues le digas a tu audiencia lo que hicimos acá y cómo pueden contactar a Leo, ¿no?
Bueno, aquí tenemos toda la información para invertir, para tener un estatus migratorio con su inversión. Así que todas las personas que en este momento están en Latinoamérica, que están un poquito indecisos, que necesitan más información, simplemente mándenos un mensaje privado. Podemos hacer una Zoom meeting con el abogado Leonardo Concepcion y ya ahí podemos despejar todas las dudas que tengan.
Leo, dile a los televidentes tu website y tu información.
Sí, claro. Bueno, lo más fácil es si ponen en Google Leonardo Concepcion, Miami, ¿verdad? Ahí va a salir la página web. El local es www.lconcepcion.com, es la página de web. Nos pueden encontrar por Facebook, por Instagram, y obviamente también los puedes comunicar por parte tuya. Okay. Nuestro teléfono es 305-791-6529.
Y un joke que él no sabe esto, pero un joke interno que tengo yo con él es que yo siempre he pensado, no solamente antes de contratar a Leo por un caso, cuando lo vi, pues hablamos y eso, pero ya cuando lo vi en persona, yo dije, wow, este tipo de verdad que es un león, tú eres el león de las leyes, hermano.
Por eso lo tengo ahí atrás.
Yeah, totally. Así bueno, que mi hermano, gracias y pues nos estamos hablando. Thank you so much, bro, ¿ok?
Muchas gracias, Freem.
All right, bro, bye.
Okay.
Gracias a todos por participar. Y aquí estamos a la orden.
Good. There you go. I like that. Okay, so now.
Yes.
So you got it? Okay.
Share,
so we're still recording there, right?
View in live. Yes.
Okay, so let's, because we're going to put down, can we put that on Instagram, on YouTube or whatever? Okay.
El video, claro.
Okay, so we're going to start doing this, okay? Every what? Every week? Every week.
Yeah, weekly.
Well, you had to come to me.
Okay.
So then you could appreciate the horrible view of Brickell. I know you. Let's talk a little bit more about you, Nati, because a lot of people know me. I don't want to sound conceited, but some people know who I am. But I want you to tell them who are you.
Sure. I have my bachelor's in digital filmmaking, and I'm also a realtor. I've been in the industry almost 5 years now, and right now I'm really focusing in the investors that are coming from other countries and that they're trying to get a status with immigration.
Okay.
So we have these three options that the lawyer Leonardo Concepcion was telling us, which is three great options. So even though you don't have a large amount to bring from another country, there's other ways to get an investment that gives you also that status. So the more that you get, the more information you get, then you could see which option is the best for you. And right now, the visa that is the best, basically, there are two options that are not so like high as far as the investment, and what they're focusing on is to provide employment here in United States. So if your business in another country is already like, moving and it's, lucrative, so that's another way. You could just bring 50% of that company here and provide or just give employment to Americans, and you will have your status.
Okay, let me ask you something. How long have you been a broker? And tell me your story about why you wanted to become a broker, because I know your mom is a broker.
My mom is broker.
Yeah, for me, every single person that brokers a deal is a broker. That's
correct.
The state doesn't agree with me that you guys are salespeople and then realtors, and then people like your mom and my aunt, they are brokers. Now, how long have you been a realtor? A sales associate, let me say that.
I've been in the industry for 5 years now.
Okay. We met when you were a model. Something that not too many people know, that you are a model, but
once
you are
a model,
extremely,
you're always a model.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
But you look like a model, but you're more than a model. Unfortunately, many of the models that are out there, they just are models, and that's it. They have a pretty face, and that's it. But I think you have a lot of substance, and the fact that you became a broker, a sales associate 5 years ago, and now you have a wealth of experience in the business is comforting, because every time that I hear you speak about real estate, I feel proud. I feel proud that you have developed a lot of knowledge in the business.
Thank you.
And I've been in the business for a little bit, for almost 22 years, so I know a star when I see one. We were connected a couple of months ago, and then we wanted to do this, and I think it's gonna be really good. I have a lot of my friends like Leo. I also have a business attorney that she has worked with us for many years. I would like to interview her as well. She knows more of the aspects of the business. Whenever the foreign national wants to come here and they want to open up a business, or anyone for that matter. So we're gonna interview her. I also want to interview my good friend Alfred Santa Maria. I want him to give his take on what's happening in Colombia, and he's also an entrepreneur. He's also a great leader and the future for this city and for the county, and also for the state. So I think that by doing this, we're gonna bring a lot of noise, to our people, to our network. And I'm very happy that you came to the office today and you said, you know what, let's do this. I think I pushed you and you pushed me.
Yes.
That's really good. What else can we talk about? That's already 33 minutes. What else can we talk about?
But yeah, definitely. Right now, there's a lot of developers here that they're almost ready to give their product. So we have houses brand new that they're intelligent, they are beautiful designed, beautiful style, great locations. So there's a lot of options.
When I started in the business, I was 20 and I bought a couple of units, actually not far from here. I would say maybe like 5 blocks away from here at the Mark. It was back in 2000 when I met Jorge Perez. I was 19 then. And he told me, you know what, why you don't get into the real estate business? I didn't know who he was. I came from the import and export business, and I didn't know who he was. It was in a plane. I was going to Colombia, and he told me, why you don't become a real estate buyer? Become a real estate buyer. And he was the one that actually gave me the the
tools,
desire
okay.
to be an entrepreneur in the real estate business and also an investor. So I bought a couple of units at the mark, and that's how I started my career as an investor in the real estate business. I still want people to do that. I still want people to buy pre-construction like I did back in the day. When you sent me the other day for Homestead,
Yeah.
I was like, yes, finally, a pre-construction that, first of all, that is accessible, number one. The product is really good because I know the product of Lennar really well. Kendall, we invested in Seabreeze and Kendall. I don't know, that's
Oh,
actually
yes.
by Kendall back
I
in the
know
day,
that.
and I did amazing. Those houses were like $100,000 back then. Then we sold it for a lot of money. But
Triple.
for the pre-construction that you sent me is super accessible. It's only
Yeah.
$400,000
No, yes.
for brand
There's
new
a few
properties.
options. Actually, Homestead is a really interesting area that is growing, is upcoming. Right now, they have a few projects coming. They have the biggest warehouse for Amazon.
Right.
They have also the salmon, like el criadero de salmón.
Yeah, the salmon farmer.
Salmon
Yeah.
farmers, that it's the biggest in the United States. And they have also this the army, they're making like a base there.
We have the Coast Guard base there, but the
Exactly.
Army and more of the forces are building a plant there, and actually a base there. When I say plant, because they put a lot of effort and put in electrical and all these plants that they need for their planes and everything. Homestead, about 5 years ago, I'm really well connected with the people at Homestead, with Peter Snevely, my good friend. He's the owner of Snevely's. My family has some farms in Homestead as well. So I've been connected with Homestead for a long time, and everything that has happened in Homestead is amazing for the last 5 years. If you go to downtown Homestead, you're not gonna recognize it anymore. They have a brand new theater. They have a bunch of nice, nice hip areas where a lot of my friends go. I have been in many of them. It's only 30 minutes away from here. And the most important thing is very close to Key Largo. It's very close to the
yeah.
Keys. We also have a property in Key Largo, so it's very close to the Keys. So Homestead is a great place to invest. If you have $300,000, $400,000. What else can we talk about, Natalia?
That is a good point that you're talking. Yeah, because you don't need a lot to invest in Homestead. And right now, basically, like those examples that I said, those just the army. The army is an example that they are always renting. So for you to buy a property, it's always going to be rented in that area.
Airbnb, we have some properties in Homestead as well. And we do a lot of Airbnb with them. And the people that want to go to Homestead, they want to disconnect from the city, they want to disconnect from this crazy the concrete jungle that I have behind me. Plus the ocean is fine, but we still are in a concrete jungle. With the traffic and everything, because people want to go there for a week, for 2 weeks, and disconnect. We have beautiful nature in Homestead. I remember that you were telling me about the skydiving experience that was in Homestead. Mine also was
There's
in
so
Homestead.
much to do.
So there's a lot of things to do.
The air is so fresh. It's so clean.
It's close to the Everglades. Again, it's close to Key Largo. Once you're in Homestead, you're honestly only 45 minutes away to Naples as well, on the west side. So we have everything for as a destination that we are in Miami. We have everything for every single budget, and which is very important. Now, how come you're not a super broker here in Brickell? Because everybody.
I'm getting Miami by areas. Yes, I'm actually going to Brickell right now.
Okay, good. Because most of the friends that have become realtors, I have helped them, here in Brickell. at the moment that you become a realtor and then you learn about these beautiful buildings behind me, we're talking about almost like 20,000 units that we have from here in Brickell all the way to Edgewater, if not more. But focusing in Brickell, we have almost like 20,000 units that were available back in the day. Now then, they're not too many, but there's a lot of opportunity out there for anyone that wants to live here. Now, I know Citadel is gonna be my neighbor next door. They're a financial company. They're gonna bring almost like 10 to 20,000 people to or cheap, okay? And that's gonna be fantastic. So I think Brickell is calling you.
I know.
Most of the people that become realtors, that they think that is, by the way, and this is a disclosure, I'm not a realtor, I don't wanna be a realtor, I like to be an investor and I like to live it like that. But I have people like you that are realtors, and also my sister and my aunt and everybody in my family are brokers. But the ability that we have here in Miami to offer someone the opportunity of a lifetime of buying a property or getting into a property or renting is very important. Miami is a destination. We have a bunch of units here for rent. At the moment that people become realtors, I think they have to become experts in their trade lane and their farm area. And I think you're an expert in the area that you have chosen, and I want you to become an expert in Brickell.
I will. I am.
In a year from now, I want to be, actually in 6 months, I want to be calling and ask you, tell me everything about Panorama.
Oh, no,
tell me everything.
Know.
By the way, we're going to go to an event now in Panorama.
Yes.
Tell me everything about Carbonell. Tell me everything about One Miami. And because knowledge, and this is what I tell a lot of the realtors, that they ask me, hey, how can I make money in the real estate business? If you don't work, if you don't network, and you don't become an expert in the business, guys like me are not going to pay attention to you, because what we want is knowledge.
Yeah.
What we want is for you to tell me which is the best property where we could buy and we're going to get a return. Now it's a different market. Actually, we should talk about that in the next one. Actually, now we should talk about it. What's happening with the market? A lot of people ask me, EPHRAIM, what's happening with the market? I believe that the prices are rectifying, and I think finally we're seeing not these crazy numbers that we used to see a year ago or 6 months ago, and that's gonna be good, because then the police officer, then the nurse, then the firemen are gonna be able to buy a property here.
Yeah, and since you mentioned them, I'm gonna touch these new programs that are actually helping all the first responders. They're giving financing in like 100% in financing. They're giving also help in down payment and closing costs. So just contact us, because not everybody has that program. You have to enroll and be part of that membership. So my team is already part of that, and we provide that guidance to all the first responders.
Perfect. So going back to that, I think that we have a little crisis as a city whenever a police officer, a nurse, or a fireman is unable to buy a property. So the fact that the prices are coming down is good for them, because then they're gonna be able to buy their $500,000 property or their $400 million property, like the ones that you sent me in Homestead, and that's very important. The prices, as far as the rent, are gonna keep
going up.
Not going up. I think they're gonna stay there. Because not too many people can pay these crazy rent prices, and because if you're here next door, you're gonna be paying $6,000 a month. That's $62,000 a year.
Rent is higher than a mortgage right now, so that's why it's smart to buy.
Yeah, no, totally. But most of these people that come to Brickell, they come from either from New York or from LA, and they don't know if they're gonna stay here for a long time. So that's why they need to rent. Whenever they get one of these units behind me, a 2-bedroom for $6,000 a month, you know, they could afford $62,000 a year, but then that means that tells me that person has to make at least $100,000 a year to be able to make, you know, to be able to pay $62,000. Not too many people make $200,000 a year in Miami. The nurse that I'm talking about doesn't make $80,000 a year. The police officer that I'm talking about doesn't make $100,000 to $200,000 a year. The fireman for sure doesn't make $200,000 a year. They might even make $80,000 a year. So the fact that the prices are going to be able to come down is good. Some people say, no, the prices of the properties are going to go up. I hope not, because if they go up more, it's going to be a different horse. I think in 6 months they're going to come down, and then guys like me, we're going to have a feast because we're going to buy all of them. We're going to be able to bring all of our foreign nationals, the foreign nationals that we talk about.
That's
with
the
Leo.
ideal for you guys and for everyone that has some money waiting. But for the people, for the normal, that we work every day so hard and we are saving, for those, I'm going to tell you, the market is not what we're predicting. And this is only just speculation, by the way. Nobody really knows. But we're not going to see the market crashing like in 2008.
No,
because in 2010, they made a lot of rules and regulations, and that banks are actually qualifying people that could afford the loan, sorry. So yeah, the restrictions are very, very high, and they're really screening everyone really well. So now who's buying is because they could afford it, and they could afford that loan. So going back to the general market here in Miami, I believe that the price just got like stable, and Miami just got back the actual pricing, because we went really low. Our prices were really low, that comparing to other countries, other cities that also are like by the beach and that they're this metro, here everybody wants to come to Miami. So we had that high demand for like a whole year after COVID, and during COVID, everybody was coming here to Miami, everybody was coming here to Fort Lauderdale, and our prices went really high. Now it's getting normal. It's actually lowering, but I don't think it will go like really low as, you know, we had that crisis. No, we won't have that anymore.
Well, the thing is that crisis, and every time that people mention that crisis, is, you know, I want to know how much they lost, because, you know, I lost $20 million net worth of
I lost $1.5 million
based on that. Everybody lost money.
Yeah.
So what happened there, it was the banks were lending money, and they were making everybody to get a loan that they couldn't afford. Yeah. And the prices were ridiculous, because everybody was pumping up the prices. There was a lot of lines of credit. There was so much money on paper, but then in reality, everything crumbled. Plus the Madoffs of the world, plus the Stearns, plus all this scam that the banks and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the federal government, created. They created a bubble. So no, we're not going to have that type of crisis. We do have the crisis of salaries in a city like this. We have a crisis of unemployment here, of homelessness, of many crises we have that affects directly the real estate business. But for people that come here and they just want to move here and I guess adopt Miami as a city is good. You know, most of the people, they go 2 years later. A lot of my New Yorker friends that they just leave 2 years later. But then the people that want to stay, they are able to buy a property, and I love the fact that there's the kind of programs that you're speaking about that they could benefit them.
I'm gonna just make a quick parenthesis and tell you this: there's many realtors in here in South Florida, but not all of them have the good team and good asesoramiento, support from, you know, like good lenders, good title companies. My whole team is very knowledgeable, and they're been in the industry for more than 20 years. So yeah, basically you have to just have like the overall and, you know, being taken care of in every single aspect.
Awesome. Okay, so then what else? Because I'm looking at the video that we made in Zoom. Actually, I like Zoom. It was giving me a lot of problems. Now, next week we could meet up, and actually tonight let's save some video time so we could play something or record something for the event that we're gonna go to. So okay, this is gonna be on YouTube. I guess it's gonna be the first one of many, no?
I know.
And,
Yes.
we're gonna go and toast for this later on.
I would say if you want us to talk about something in specific, just make a comment and we will prepare a video about it.
Yes. And of course, Natalie is prettier than me, so I want her to be the face of this. I could talk a lot, but Natalie is really good. So okay, thank you, Natalie,
Thank
for
you.
making this happen. Bye.